Okay, this is it. This is day 1, hour 0 in my first studio, which is pretty crazy. Holy cow. So it's June 28th, 2020. We're 3 months into the coronavirus pandemic, and I knew I had to take matters into my own hands. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to make this diary entry, schedule it to be uploaded for 2 years from today. So June 28th, 2022. 3 months in to this global pandemic, and I told myself I've got to take matters into my own hands, and this is that manifestation. I'm still living at home, but what I figured was my priority had to be a place to work. I had to find somewhere where I could show up every day and not be bogged down by mundane of being stuck at home all day. It was getting in the way of my creating. It was getting in the way of my imagination in a lot of ways. And so I kind of set, it took a long time to get under control, but I set out to look for a space to work, a creative space to work that had its purpose being only for work, so that when I show up here, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's working. And that's this. It's 800 square feet, and I think it's gonna be an awesome place for me to just play around and be me. Future Henry, I don't know where I'm gonna be in 2 years. I have absolutely no idea, and I know I'm gonna forget about this video too. But what I do know, because people have been asking me a lot lately, like, what are you gonna do? What's the next year hold for you? When are you gonna get a real job? The answer to that last one is never. It's never. And going back to 6th grade, when I first made literally $5 or $10 myself, that is exactly when I knew I wasn't gonna be able to work for anybody else. In a sense, I had cracked the code. And so if I can just keep playing and playing and things are developing, I can work all day long and still be just immensely happy. It's funny, so we're, a year out of college right now. I can't think of maybe a few of my friends, really love what they are doing. Another handful are about to pivot 180 and do something completely different. A whole bunch are burning out in year 1. I've done that. I've battled that dilemma before. I told myself I'm not gonna do that again. So this is what that is. It's me hoping to play as long as I can. And I guess this is just the beginning. What else is going on? So in addition to this, I do want to move out. I can't be at home forever, as great as it is. So Athena and I, she's still around in 2 years, or 2 months, who knows. We're supposed to be, in like the very short future, converting a Sprinter van into a tiny home. I wonder if that ever materialized. The Black Lives Matter movement is in full swing, right? George Floyd was murdered about a month ago now. Here's something interesting. It kind of goes back to the point of why am I doing this? And it's largely dependent on the people who you surround yourself with, right? I often equate it to this. Imagine when you were in elementary school, asking someone to hang out or have a play date, whatever, so many times, and every single time they said no. And that was me often saying no. Every single time you ask them to hang out, they say no. After a while, and it's not a long while, but after a while, that rejection happens enough times where you just stop asking. And for me, largely right now, that's entrepreneurship. When so many people have asked me, what am I gonna do in this year? What am I gonna do in 5 years? Where do I wanna be in 10 years? I know those things, right? I'm not naive. It might look like I'm naive to what I'm doing, but behind the scenes, there's this great quote. It's, you see on YouTube especially, or if you're more distant friends and family of mine, what you see is the dish. You don't see what's going on in the kitchen. You see that beautiful presentation, right, where things work out, or maybe they don't work out, you know, the dishes. So getting back to the point of asking someone to hang out a bunch of times, they say no, eventually you stop asking. And that's where I'm at with entrepreneurship is I'm surrounded by people, surrounded by a society really, of convention where, in a sense, I've asked people for their points of view on different startups or businesses or ideas I have or things I want to do that are unconventional, right? And I've asked enough times and I've pitched enough times to certain people, and what's returned is always judgment, criticality, critical thinking, but kind of harmful critical thinking, cynicism, largely. So I'm at a point, much like your friends, where I've asked and I've pitched and I've told and I've shared enough times receiving pessimistic feedback that to a good number of people around me, I've stopped sharing. My mom largely. And that stuff's really harmful. But what's more harmful is letting that cynicism and that pessimism for someone like me, you know, kind of absorb into my psyche. And what I've learned to do is say, when I throw something out and it's judgment that comes back, judgment for fighting against the status quo or whatever, I've learned to just turn it off. And that's partially why I'm here. I need a space to show up where I can do whatever I want. I don't have to ask for anyone's permission. And I can do it unimpeded, because in my mind, this kind of radiating optimism, when I've got an idea or I've got some creative thinking, I don't kill ideas in my mind. I don't shut things down. I don't attack new problems with pessimism. And what's been so harmful for the last 3 months being around home and everybody being home is that, much like society, largely, because what I do is so unconventional when it shouldn't be, but it's so unconventional. When I share things, what I'm given back is largely pessimism. And as an entrepreneur, that's so harmful. It's so harmful. And it's the reason, and it's the fear that drives the reason why so many people are stuck doing things that they hate and that they do just because they're a means to an end. That end being some constructed notion that you have to retire when you're 65 with $1 million. I just don't subscribe to that. And that's why I'm here. I don't subscribe to any of that. Well, I need to design a space that is kind of an intersection of all the things I love to do. And that's music, that's entrepreneurship, that's now carpentry and woodworking, and filming videos and taking photos in between. So I want this singular studio to be a place that kind of harbors all four of those things, maybe in each corner, right? So we've got the music box over there, and all my tools and build equipment are in that corner. Up here is entrepreneurship with whiteboards, probably an editing bay, and just space to work and to build things. And then in that corner, maybe is the kind of YouTube studio, although there's a sink here. Let's see. I got a sink, that's nice. Look at this, there's also this awesome view of the skyline. Oh, it's gonna be too bright. Check this out. Oh, man. That's so cool. There's Trump Tower right in the center. Yeah, you can't see my finger. Oh, right there. One of my favorite buildings, but we'll see what happens this November. Okay. Coming back. So, I gotta build this place out, and I just want it to be a creative space where I can have other entrepreneurs and thinkers show up and be inspired, where we can collaborate and start businesses. I haven't uploaded a video to YouTube in months, and I want to start doing that, and I hope to be uploading 2 or 3 times a week. One day, kind of videos about entrepreneurship and things I've messed up on in the past and I've learned. Another day is weekly vlog and kind of the happenings of whatever's happening here. That'll largely be startups and business ideas, things I already do that generate money, to show people that, like, you can do this. I've had a lot of privilege to be in the position I've been in my whole life and to have kind of the safety nets that I've had. But at the same time, I've never asked for handouts. I've kind of been vehemently against getting things from my parents since as long as I can remember, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. So yes, while I have those safety nets, everything I am and I've done and I will do in large part is just because I set out to do it. But when it comes to business, things I've done online where that identity doesn't matter as much, it's just a matter of how hard do you want to work. I'm not saying it's easy. In hindsight, it looks really easy, but it's actually very difficult. And businesses that I have today, a couple of them, are things that have taken me 6, 7, 8 years to perfect, and they're still not generating enough money for me to kind of rely solely on them. So these things are hard. Okay, so Wednesdays, weekly vlogs, and then what I hope to do at the end of probably once a month is kind of bigger, larger productions of kind of like just hacking the system. Not hacking the system either. I gotta figure out how to pitch these things. But videos that, kind of like I was just saying, will put my kind of business acumen to test by, like things like Urbana Champagne. Maybe you'll know about this in 2 years. Urbana Champagne, a coffee table book with I don't want to say too much, it would be a spoiler. Coffee table book with dogs that look like their owners. Just a number of things. And then I want to start Dunbar. I've got a friend, Evan, who says he'll quit his job. This is something he would quit his job to work on full time. That's the kind of person I want to work with. That's the kind of person I want in the studio. Someone who's willing to give up everything they have right now, because the opportunity to create something yourself is that much more alluring. So Dunbar is one thing. If not that, I want to develop a subscription box for at-home cooking, much like HelloFresh and Blue Apron, if they're still around, but that's more about teaching you how to cook. So I cook all of the HelloFresh and Blue Aprons in our house. I love to cook, but I feel like I've mastered their program, and it's just really basic, easy things to do during the week. I want to learn how to sharpen knives properly. Why aren't they teaching people how to do that? So that's another thing I want to start. There's a climate change carbon tax app I want to start with my brother. That's also what I've figured out in the last year. The thing I do best and the thing that excites me the most is project management. Getting able to do this on Monday, but by Wednesday I'm working on something completely different, and by Friday I'm managing something completely different. That's where I'm happiest. Because what I found is when I'm the least happy is when I'm stuck doing the same thing day in and day out that just becomes so routine that I lose interest. And so I think having a studio where each of the corners literally in the studio is a different thing that I love to do, that I can be in that corner on Monday and that one on Tuesday and that corner at 1 p.m. and that corner on Friday. I think that is how I can set myself up for success. And maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see in 2 years. I gotta wrap this up. I gotta go home. That's my new electric bike. It's awesome, Super 73. Who knows, maybe in 2 years I'll work for Super 73, or yeah, I don't know. It's an awesome company. June 28th, 2022 is the next time I'll see this. I hope this place looks a whole lot different. I hope I look a whole lot different. I hope I act a whole lot different in the sense that I've grown and kind of wrapped my head around who I will eventually be and who I want to be. I hope I can be better and kinder to the important people in my life. Not that I'm not kind to them, but there's no limit to kindness, right? You can always be more kind. I just want to be kinder to the people around me. I've started to do that a lot. Just asking myself, is this thing they're yelling at me for, or I'm yelling at them for, is it important? Is it worth it? And the answer 99 times out of 100 is no, it's not important. No, it's not worth it. And that has just taken my guard way down and let the kind of insignificant things go over my head. There's just not enough time for that. So, June 28th, 2022, I'll see you here, maybe a bigger studio. Maybe this won't exist anymore because I went broke, which is largely possible. It's gonna be a fun ride, and this is kind of the first major step that I'm taking myself, solely myself, away from the status quo, totally away from it. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Either this was a good bet, or it wasn't, and I'm gonna know that in 2 years, and we'll revisit this then. All right, see you in 2 years.